Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central. So why should you play more Moira? That's what we'll be asking today, how players are misunderstanding her, where you should play her, and doesn't she actually get worse when you start climbing the ranks? We'll be tackling that too. Before that though, I wanted to ask you guys in the comments what you think of Moira. Do you like playing her? Do you think she's trash? Let me know below, even with a simple good or bad, it'll be interesting to hear your responses. But we'll start with a big question. Why do players consider Moira to get worse as you climb? The wording "get worse" is important here. Instead of me answering that, here's a quote from Pro Lucio player and regular top 10 player in ladder, Funny Astro, who's had a good amount of experience in both pro play and ladder of course. Pretty much all other supports have something unique about them. Zenyatta has Discord, Lucio has Speed, Mercy has Resurrect and Damage Boost, Anna has Anti-Nade, Moira is just plain heal and damage. She isn't actually that bad in GOATs and is still played sometimes in scrims just because her pure heal output is insane. But he considers the pure healing output pretty useless in ranked because the only way that you can get more value than other supports with it is stacking up as 6 players together in GOATs to get huge AoE heals, which doesn't really happen in ranked. So that's a pretty simple explanation as to why Moira is perceived as bad for high tier play. All of the other supports bring something more to the table that isn't just raw healing, especially when it comes to augmenting and amplifying impact for other teammates. Damage boost with Mercy, damage boost with Discord Orb from Zenyatta, speed boost from Lucio, healing boost with Anna's Nade, damage boost with Anna's Nano. Moira just doesn't provide anything like that. But back to the question, does Moira get worse as you climb? And the answer is no. Well, not really at least. In the absolute lowest tier of bronze, Moira is the most popular pick with 24%. But as you see, as you go through the different tiers, it starts to dwindle, going less than 20% by the time you get to Platinum, 10% in Diamond, 4% in Masters, and just over 2% in GM. So we know that her pick rate goes down as you climb, but as you've seen as well when you look at the win rate, that's not changing dramatically. In fact, it mostly starts to rise as you're climbing through the ranks, up until about GM. But of course, this isn't the perfect way to look at which heroes are good. Heroes like Torbjorn, Mei, all have the highest win rate in GM, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are the best heroes in GM. But what you do find is a very consistent niche. Whilst the pick rate of Moira does go down, there are still players dedicated to her, and as Funny Astro said to me, there are Moira one-trick players in GM, in top 500, that play this hero to a good level. Basically, those that are committed to making Moira work at the highest tiers can make her work with the right invested time and understanding. But to quote Funny Astro again, he thinks that Moira doesn't get worse, it's just more that the other heroes get better, like Zen and Anna are way better at higher ranks because people know how to play them. It's just Moira's skill ceiling being low. So Moira isn't terrible. She's in fact a lot better than players may give her credit for. But I think this highlights a much bigger issue when it comes to especially lower ranks and being able to sort of play what's optimal versus what's viable. This is a big thing that I think us YouTubers are somewhat responsible for. This is currently a big topic in World of Warcraft when Classic comes out, the whole who should I play, what's the best DPS, what classes are good for PvP, and there are answers to these questions. If you ask the question, who should I play to climb in competitive, I could give you an answer. Going back to WoW, we have stuff like Rogue being the god of DPS, Dwarf Priest being the best class combo for Alliance. But these are all optimal picks. Enhancement Shamans aren't optimal, Balanced Druids aren't optimal. Moira isn't optimal for the reasons that we've just gone over, but damn sure she's still viable. Optimal is what realistically you should be playing in any given situation. If this was the highest tiers, if we were all playing in the Overwatch League, then we may need to run a specific lineup, and picking Moira over Zenyatta might be detrimental. Maybe you load in on Rialto. In an ideal world, you would pick GOATs on this map as GOATs is very good on it. However, if you're playing in Gold or Platinum, we're certainly not in an ideal world. One big mistake I've seen come up time and time and again, especially playing a lot recently in Platinum to try and practice my support Anna play, and I've seen even Miska bring this up too, is that players in lower tiers focus too much on meta. If your team isn't running 2-2-2 or isn't running a Ryan/Zarya on King's Row, then it's a loss. GG, I'm going to pick Torbjorn to start throwing. Running supports without a Zen and Lucia for the support ultimate, or a main healer like Ana, Moira, Baptiste. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I'm certainly saying it doesn't matter as much as some players make it out to be. Just because you picked Guts on a certain map where Guts is good, doesn't mean that you instantly win. Just because you have 4 DPS on your lineup, doesn't mean it's time to spam GG very early on in the game and start practicing your Widowmaker because this game is lost. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it go goats. I found a really good quote on a website, and then I checked the name of it, and it's called girlschase.com. Yes, I accidentally found a how to pick up girls website when googling optimal versus viable, but the quote is really good. A boxer who has viable technique is not necessarily a boxer who wins, and a person focusing on optimal technique isn't a person that necessarily fights or wins either. So what does all of that have to do with Moira? It seems that Moira often gets ignored because there's never really a situation where Moira is the most optimal pick. However, I would say that she's one of the best heroes to play when optimal goes out of the window, and she's a really good backup option that you can have in your back pocket that can make sense of chaotic situations. I would say Moira is one of the best heroes to make sense of that, survive outstanding odds, but I guess most importantly, Moira is so good at getting consistent heals out there whilst not dying, when the rest of your team may be dying over and over. Ana in a certain situation may be the best optimal pick, but if you're dying to a Genji over and over, that's certainly not optimal, and you should definitely change. But now I want to talk about why playing Moira has improved all of my support play, especially on heroes like Ana and Zenyatta, which are the main focus for me at the moment, but I think playing Moira in certain situations really highlighted to me what I could do better on these other heroes, to be honest. And I think it breaks down into 4 different areas. With Moira, you can see the absolute impact that you have when it comes to raw healing output. You don't need to focus on a well-timed speed boost or an aggressive anti-heal grenade from Ana. You don't need to focus on all of this other utility. Your job is to just put out as much healing as possible to make sure that your team doesn't die. And I think Moira is a great way to learn what you can do when all of your focus is purely on healing and supporting your team, and how that enables the rest of your lineup, regardless of what the other support your team is running. It means that you can support this Reinhardt a lot more, like in this gameplay in the background. These came from like pickup group sort of viewer games that I had going on. It had a lot of like top 500 players in it, this Reinhardt being one of them, and a lot of my focus was just making sure that he kept alive, our tank lineup being able to sort of run in and do as much damage. And whilst it's not the best gameplay in the world, I'm certainly not saying I'm a qualified Moira player as such. I think it did remind me that when I am playing Zenyatta and when I am playing Ana, that if I'm not doing as much healing as I should be, that's where you can go wrong. Certainly as Zenyatta or Ana, a lot of focus might be doing a little bit of damage, playing much more aggressively, helping to try and get picks and be more offensive, but really you are a support. You need to be healing, and I think Moira is a great way to ground yourself and remind you how good just healing can be in a lot of situations. You're not going to carry or pop off in the same way, but it's still incredibly important. The next area is probably the most important when it comes to getting out of ranks like gold and platinum, and I think this is where Moira really shines. It's the art of dying less. Dying is the worst thing that you could do in this game, bar none, certainly. Even in situations where you just die by accident, it's a huge impact to why you may lose a game. And Moira, on average, dies a lot less because you have a lot more independency. A Doomfist jumping on you, you have a good chance to survive, and with the Fade ability, it means that you just don't get punished for as many mistakes. You see a Widowmaker try to take shots, you use your Fade to get out the way. Genji comes in with a blade, you fade out. Tracer comes in with a pulse bomb literally sticking you, you can fade out and make sure that it doesn't kill you. These situations would probably kill the likes of Zenyatta and Ana, and I think one thing that I realised when playing a lot more Moira is just how often I died to stupid shit with Ana and Zenyatta, and how that's such a big problem. Moira is a great way for you to sort of play in that style and really know, okay, if I was playing Ana I would have died here, but luckily I was on Moira, I survived. I hope you start to see the point I'm trying to make, that playing this hero you really start to understand how much of an impact your healing output and the fact that you can survive a lot of stuff coming in by just fading out of situations or scaring them away with a bit of damage, how often you can survive and just how much you can do from there. I understand that players may be playing Ana, going up against the Genji that keeps killing them, that switching to Moira might be sort of, throwing in the towel and good for a much easier option, but it's definitely the right thing to do. Like I said, Ana could be the most optimal pick in that situation, but if you're just getting dunked on by an enemy Genji, then you're just throwing a game essentially, and people should start seeing it as that. Another big thing about Moira is the ultimate timing. Now, the ultimate that Moira has isn't as impactful as a Transcendence or a Sound Barrier, but the good thing about it is that you can farm it fairly quickly. And there's a lot of areas where you could just experiment with when to use this ultimate. I think that's a really important aspect of it, where you can be a little bit more liberal with throwing out your coalescences, whereas you can't really do that with a Transcendence. When you're practicing Zenyatta or Lucio, with every single ultimate, you need to sit and think, was that Sound Barrier worth it? Could I have got away without using it because we didn't need to use it, or because we died anyway? You have to ask that question every single time that you ult as Lucio or Zenyatta. Moira, you have a bit more freedom to go, I didn't really need to coalescence there, but I could just farm another one. And I think, again, that's really good practice of being able to learn when to use a support ultimate, either aggressively or defensively. Not to mention that Moira is a great hero when it comes to switching between healing and DPS. You can do a little bit, you kinda need to DPS to keep up your healing output, but much like I highlighted before, raw healing is a utility in itself. So they're just a few reasons as to why you should play more Moira, especially if you want to get better at Ana or Zenyatta or any of the support really. So that brings up the question, should I use Moira as a crutch to get to high ranks and then start playing the likes of Ana and Zenyatta there? And the answer is no. God no, don't do that. If you want to get to GM with Ana solely, then you should play and learn just Ana. Even if you go down 500 to 1000 SR from playing her, that's still the right thing to do if you just want to learn Ana. If you don't want to play Moira because you're not interested in her, you'd rather play Zen or even Baptiste, then that's fine. However, if you are the kind of player that wants to improve your support play in general, or will just play whatever the team needs to win, then Moira is perfect. She's a hero that relishes in chaos, of competitive, of ranked, where playing optimally just isn't possible. She's a great hero to enable your support game sense, to experiment on healing more, dealing damage more, ulting in awkward situations. You can start to see where it might be good for other heroes where you don't have that luxury to spam abilities and have the same amount of survivability. You may just realize how often you die on these other heroes, or how often Genjis, Doomfist and Sombras really mess you up as you're playing Ana. They may show you that you're focusing too much on trying to dome and right click people to death as Zenyatta, and also what time a good Transcendence would be. This was very much a longer video than usual, but that's because I feel that this is a really important topic, not only specifically for Moira, but I feel that players really do home in on a one-tracked mind kind of approach, especially when learning one hero. If you want to get better at Ana, then just play Ana. Don't play Zen, don't play Lucio, don't play Mercy, but if you want to be a better support player as a whole, and have those transitional skills to be able to play all of them to a certain level, don't neglect Moira, because I think she's one of the best options to enable you to understand what you're doing wrong on other heroes, and not only that, she's a good hero in her own right. I just wish players would stop using her as a crutch, or just ignoring that she's an option altogether. But that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As I said, a little bit longer, so do let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below. Thanks again, take care, and I'll see you soon.